The right design is the policy that helps them reach their desired objective with the most predictability, right? And to me, that's the biggest thing. I think the biggest mistake that agents make is kind of planting their flag on the hill and kind of being willing to die on that hill and saying, listen, the only way that's good is a 1090. The only way that's good is a 4060 policy. And you have these, like the infinite banking kind of classic agents will sit there and tell you the only way to do it is a 4060 policy. And then you got other people who've kind of fought against it and say the only way is a 1090 policy. And anybody who does less than that is just doing it for commission. The reality is that's not necessarily the truth. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It is Chris with Life 180. And for this video, I want to talk to you. Ultimately, I want to share with you a conversation that I was having, which led to a pretty, heated debate conversation. As you know, if you watch this channel for any period of time, I'm really big on training insurance agents on how to serve their clients in a more powerful way. I'm really big on empowering and educating clients about utilizing whole life insurance as a really powerful asset, like a foundational tier 1 asset in their life, kind of the same way that banks utilize the asset in their business structure. Showing people how they can create wealth through, just through financial efficiency, through understanding how to use a more strategic, leveraged financial system, and showing people that the idea of investing for long-term buy and hold strategies in the stock market just doesn't work the way that the way that Wall Street would want you to think. Look at the results that we have in the world, and I think that's pretty much proof enough in the pudding as far as like backing up that statement. So when it comes to whole life insurance, there's a lot of opinions out there. There's the infinite banking concept, which is kind of like the oldest, most mature kind of best marketed overall strategy around it, but it's just a marketing name. It's just an idea and a concept. Circle of Wealth is there with money tracks. You have Become Your Own Banker. My buddy Caleb has the And Asset. It's all the same thing, and it's all just marketing and conceptualization around, what whole life insurance is and how, when leveraged and structured and designed properly, how you can utilize it to show up really, really powerfully in your life, and how you can utilize it to help you create more predictable results in your life, and that's really where this conversation went, right? Like, so here's what happened. I got into this debate, and if you look online, maybe you've done it yourself, there's a lot of people with a lot of varying opinions about what type of design or structure is right for a whole life policy. And so I have a video coming out here pretty shortly that is a new updated version of how to properly design a whole life policy, taking new things into consideration, showing the new 7702 regs and all that stuff, and just giving a more clear picture, right? But that said, in that design, it got me thinking, and that's kind of what stemmed this conversation or spurred this conversation. I, was going over all of the different options and ways that you could design a policy. Is it going to be a 40-60 policy with 40% base, 60% PUAs? Is it going to be a 10-90 policy with 10% base, 90% PUAs? How does this look? And the reality is, depending on what the needs are of the individual, what their objectives are, depending on how much liquid capital they have to start the policy, depending on, how they plan on utilizing the policy, they all play and factor into the decision on what's the proper design. The right design is the policy that helps them reach their desired objective with the most predictability, right? And to me, that's the biggest thing. So I think the biggest mistake that agents make is kind of planting their flag on the hill and kind of being willing to die on that hill and saying, listen, the only way that's good is a 1090. The only way that's good is a 4060 policy. And you have these, like the infinite banking kind of classic agents will sit there and tell you the only way to do it is a 40-60 policy. And then you got other people who've kind of fought against it and say the only way is a 1090 policy. And anybody who does less than that is just doing it for commission. The reality is that's not necessarily the truth. I was talking to somebody the other day, And I'll be straight with you. When I work with an agent and I walk them through running a policy and doing illustrations, and I do a lot of coaching on this, what I teach them to do is I teach them to run the policy at 40/60, run the policy at 30/70, run it at 20/80, just run it at 10/90. What does it look like for the individual? How does it line up? What does the short-term liquidity look like? What does the long-term growth look like? How long are they willing to fund the policy? How long do they want to fund the policy? How old are they right now? What's their insurability look like? Do they have any capital that they're able to fund the policy with up front? If they have money that they're able to fund the policy up front, like that's a conversation. Like, to me, if you are interested in this conversation, like if you are a client, now I'm going to flip, because the topic of this video is the biggest mistake life insurance agents make. And that mistake is planting your flag on that hill and insisting that the way you do it, this one design, this 40/60 or 10/90, is the only way to do it. And the reality is, if you come to the table with front-loaded money, meaning if you have a dump in of money, and let's say you have money in a bank account, a savings account, let's say you want to cash out money from an IRA or a 401k and pay the penalty and the taxes, and that's just a decision you've made to do. Let's say you have a real estate sale or whatever, that you have cash just sitting around and you're figuring you want to make sure that you put it to use. I have an example of somebody that we recently spoke with that had $150,000 that they wanted to put into a policy, and they wanted to do it up front, but they wanted to contribute $15,000 a year. Here's the deal. If I were going under the context that a 10/90 was the only way to go, you're not able to put $150,000 in up front and then a $15,000 annual premium and a 10/90. You just can't do it. It's going to mech out every time, and it's not going to work. So the bottom line is, I want to encourage everybody, whether you're an agent or whether you're a client, whether you're somebody who's looking at this for yourself, for the first policy, for a second policy, whatever it is, do not go into, don't go into the process with a preconceived notion on what you think is right for you. I always tell people, my opinion doesn't matter. I always let the math speak. I learned that with marketing, following a guy named Russell Brunson. He always says his opinion didn't matter. He created, put it out there, and you can't be emotionally connected to, the results. Let the results speak for themselves. So with this, go into it, focus not on the policy design, but focus on your objectives. And when you understand and you go into this knowing what objectives you have, what you want the policy to accomplish for you, because here's the bottom line. The policy on its own, if you're using it as an asset, is not a great investment. In fact, it's a pretty horrible investment, right? Because you're not going to get a great rate of return out of this. It is an amazing storage vehicle. It is amazing as a banking alternative, right? So when you look at it and you understand the function and the role that the policy plays in your financial life, now you can make decisions from a different perspective. Do you want to use it for real estate? Do you want to use it for crypto? Do you want to use it for day trading? Do you want to use it, for a business account? Do you want to use it as an opportunity fund because you're just a person who does that? Are you like Gary Vee and you like to go to, take a certain amount of money out of this and go garage sailing and then flip that and fund it through there and create cash flow that way? There are all sorts of ways that you can leverage these policies to enhance your financial life. But if you start by thinking policy design is the most important thing, policy design is important at the end of the day, but the design isn't necessarily 40/60 or 10/90. Is it helping you achieve the objectives that you're looking to achieve? And there is no one singular design that achieves all the objectives. And that's why it's so important that you work with an agent that understands this stuff inside and out. I'm telling you, for me right now, there's nothing that's driving me more crazy than hearing all these people out there just talk about one type of design of policy, saying this is the end all be all and anybody doing anything but this is stupid, effectively, right? Or they're ripping you off, or they're just doing it for commission, or they're just, they don't get it. And it's happening on both sides of the pendulum, right? Like it's happening with the 40/60 agents, the traditional, and it's happening with the 10/90 agents. And, I'm going to tell you right now, out of the last, 12 cases that I've seen the agents that I coach design and put together, I'm going to tell you like 4 of them have been probably 25/75 policies. A couple of them have been 10/90s, a couple of them have been 20/80s, a couple of them have been like 30/70s. it's all over the map, and it's all based on your specific scenario. And so do not go into it thinking about the policy design. Think about it with objectives. The one thing I would encourage everybody to do is to think about, if you have the ability to front load a policy, to be able to take money from a bank account, put into a policy, and exchange your savings account or your, whatever you would have as like an emergency account, and leverage your whole life policy as an emergency account, that is a huge opportunity. And if you can, if you said, hey, I know I want to do a $10,000 a year premium, and I have $30,000 sitting in an account over here, and I want to dump that in, I want to start my policy and get it started with the 30, and I want to make the $10,000 premium. Guess what? If you do that, you can't do the 1090. It just can't happen. It's going to mech, right? So you have to come up with different policies. So going into it with a singular mindset about, this is how I want it done. And I'm telling you, I get it. I get a lot of people that call me all the time on both sides of the spectrum, right? People thinking that they want it done a specific way. And that's the thing that I battle with the most when I have a conversation with them about what's right for them and then connect them with an agent is the fact that there is no right way. Let's talk about your scenario. Let's connect you with an agent that understands how to design these things to meet your objectives. And let's get out of just the dialogue around this stuff, because it's not what matters most. What matters most, my buddy Caleb says it all the time, is not rate of return, it's return on result, right? It's what is the result that you're looking for in your life, and is this policy gonna either help get you there in a more predictable way, or is it not? And if it isn't, then don't do it, right? If we always are thinking about what's the result that we want in our life, and then think about what are our values and what are we doing with our money, and is our financial strategy in alignment with the result that I'm going for and with my values, then that's going to help you kind of create a framework in the decision making that goes around your investing. And so anyway, that's it. So anyway, I hope that makes sense, because I know there's a lot to it. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and click in the link in the description below. You can get on the phone, have a conversation with one of our reps. They'd be happy to help you out, happy to have a conversation, no pressure, non-sales tactics, just answer your questions, give you clarity, give you peace of mind. That's why we call it a clarity call. There's no sales in it. It's just to serve and give you clarity. And it genuinely is that. So if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. We do our best to engage with every single comment that we see. I'm very diligent about that. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, click that bell. That way you get notified every time we launch a new video. We got so much great content coming out. The holidays coming out, the New Year's coming out, a lot of stuff on how to prepare for 2022, a lot of stuff on what's going on in the world of the economic environment, political environment, the inflation environment, how that impacts you and your money, all that different stuff. So that's it for now. If you haven't already, smash that like button, share this video, get it out there with more people. And until next video, I hope you have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.